I'm Father Bob Stokig, rector of the Guardian Angel Cathedral in Las Vegas, Nevada. We hope that wherever you are well. This is another one of our weekly reflections on the readings, this for the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Before I do the reflection, just a reminder, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll be constantly then reminded when there is new content either like this or some musical offerings we have planned for the near future. This cycle of readings coincides with a presidential election every 12 years. And both the first reading from Isaiah and the Gospel from Matthew have material about the relationship of church and state, though the Bible would never have used quite those terms to describe it. In Isaiah, God is talking about how God will use King Cyrus, who's not a member of the Israelite community, but will use him to allow the Israelites to leave their exile and return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. It shows us that God can work through anyone. We typically think of God working through us as believers, but Cyrus is a good example in the Bible of how someone outside the believing community cooperates with God's desires. In the gospel passage, the famous one, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. Our issues with taxes in our time pale to the gravity of the issues in Jesus' time. After all, the Roman Empire was occupying Jerusalem, and the taxes that people were paying to them were paying for the occupation. So the Pharisees have a huge issue with Jews paying that tax. They team up with an unlikely member in the Herodians, followers of King Herod, who were all about cooperating with the Roman Empire. So two opposing forces come together with a common thing in mind, and that was to try to trap Jesus. For the Pharisees, it would mean then the Romans would punish Jesus and they wouldn't have to put up with him anymore. And the Herodians were also concerned about Jesus' growing popularity. In answering a question that's a trap question, Jesus is both learned and wise. Wise because he doesn't take the bait, doesn't fall into the trap. He simply says to those who are asking if it's lawful for them to pay the temple tax, look at a coin whose image is on it, and from there, give to Caesar what is Caesar and to God what is God's. For us in this time leading up to our presidential election, there's much conversation about the involvement of church and state. The way in which I like to frame my own way of thinking about this is to quote St. Paul, who says, "Our citizenship is in heaven, and yet our feet are on earth." Therefore, we navigate a civic society while we long for the day when the promise of the reign of God will be realized. In the meantime, we have to find our way and look at the balance. Where are our allegiances? And how do we then, as Christian followers of Jesus, put that first? It's never an easy day-to-day equation, but that's what's at stake for us in these days. We long for the day when we can welcome back visitors from all over the world to Guardian Angel Cathedral. But until that time, let us pray for each other. And for those watching this in the United States, let us pray for our country as we journey through these last weeks leading up to the election. May we all find our balance between following God and being residents of God's kingdom and having our feet in the civil society.